Sharon, I don't think, okay, no, you're good now. It says recording on my side.
Am I recording? Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, this is Sharon, and I'm with Positively Provost, and today we're meeting with Callie Larson. Callie is an insurance broker. She works downtown in Provost, and she works with her dad, Kim Larson, at Kim Larson Financial. So, Callie, if it's okay, can you explain to everybody what you do exactly?
Yeah, for sure. Firstly, I'd just like to thank you for having me here today. I really appreciate the opportunity to be able to talk. So down at our office, we deal mainly with life and health insurance. So that is a very umbrella term for a lot of different things. So obviously we do life insurance, health and dental insurance, travel insurance, critical illness insurance, final expense insurance, stuff like that. We also do investment planning. So I myself am licensed to work with segregated funds, whereas my dad has his securities license, so he can do mutual funds. We also do things like group benefit packages and group RSPs.
So, sorry, I'm going to jump in more questions here, but so your group for company, but you also, I know for a fact you also do individuals as well.
Yes, correct.
So that's nice to know when you say the group packages is not just if you're solo and you need something, then you can also help them as well.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Also, so you talked like it was really everybody should know, like you say, you got critical insurance, you got this kind of insurance. So there's so much there. And like a lot of people don't really comprehend what that is. And then you also talked about you have travel insurance. So when I say travel insurance, I'm going to Mexico for that kind of insurance, but we should actually have insurance across Canada as well.
Yes. Especially if you do a lot of interprovincial travel for work. Unfortunately, most people are under the idea that because Canada has free healthcare, that it is a federally regulated thing, and it's not. It's actually provincially regulated. So there is actually some discrepancies if you were to get hurt or sick in another province on what Alberta healthcare would cover while you're there. That's why we have healthcare cards, and if you ever have to go to the emergency room or something like that, that's why you have to present it, because that's who it's billed through at that time.
Right. So, you know, that's something I've never really put into consideration. I just thought that we were good across Canada. So that's
yeah. And you know what, a lot of people don't. I know, like, an example that we tend to use when it comes to interprovincial issues is, this was on the news a year or two ago now, but a lady, a non-resident from Ontario, ended up having her baby prematurely there, and it had to stay in the hospital for quite some time.
Yeah.
And her home province didn't cover all of the costs, so she had to pay a lot of that out of pocket.
Wow.
Yeah, so a travel insurance plan, it's good. It's good. Doesn't matter if you're going on a vacation to BC or even just to Saskatchewan. It's a good thing to have all the time.
So is it the same travel insurance? Doesn't matter if it's for Canada or out of the country. It's the same travel insurance package?
Pretty much, yeah. The rates are different because within Canada, obviously, there's different amounts to which things will pay. If you're internationally traveling, I could be wrong on this, but last I checked, Alberta Healthcare pays $50 a day internationally if you end up in a hospital or in an emergency situation like that. They are first payer when it comes to that, but it does work different in Canada. But so with that being said, the rates are lower if you're just traveling within Canada than international, but it's cheap either way.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. The first time I got it, I remember, I think it was your dad telling me you should get travel insurance. I'm like, I just think of more paperwork. It's like,
Yeah, and you know what? That's the funny thing, because I'm sure when Dad started, it probably was a lot of paperwork. But now it's such a streamlined process. It takes maybe 10 minutes, especially if you're under the age of 50. I don't even have to ask any medical questions. I just need some information. I can do it all online. It emails you the policy and you're free to go. So it's really, really good.
Like, we've reached out to you, like, literally from the airport before, because that's something I forgot about.
You're not the only one. I've had a couple people waiting to board their plane.
Yeah, oh shit. Yeah, so that was good. That was good. One thing too I have to express, Callie, is how, because being paperwork is not that fantastic. But any kind of questions that we have for you guys, you could just come right over to our place and you get us all signed up and rock and rolling. So that's fantastic for us. For any busy, we're all busy, right? So we're really grateful that you do such a fantastic job. Callie, right now, because I'm sure you've got emails coming in left, right, and center for your insurance companies. What's happening in your industry?
So as I'm sure you're aware, everything's changing day by day. So the most recent emails I've been getting in regards to actual life insurance applications, that's where things are going to change. Obviously, anything in force isn't affected by all of this, but the underwriting process for new applications is going to be different till all of this clears up. I have read now that some companies, if you had traveled internationally before their set date, and that's been different for each company, but the beginning of March seems to be the sweet spot. If you had traveled anytime prior to that, they are postponing your application just because of how things are, and especially if you've traveled afterwards, they're like, please reapply in a month, because right now
Wow.
it's so crazy. Yeah. And as for the actual underwriting process, I know we use Dynacare, or that's like the preferred insurance underwriters. So any and all paramedical services, so that's when they send a nurse to your house to do blood, urine, and vitals.
Okay. Yeah.
Those are canceled right now. Any scheduled appointments are being canceled, and they're not booking any new ones. And that's because they are sending all of their lab people out to the front lines to help with everything. So if you require labs like that, again, it's going to delay the process for the life application. They're still doing the telephone interviews, so that's good. And some companies are changing their underwriting requirements. So I know I'm just going to keep referring back to Manulife. They're one of our preferred carriers, and I'm in touch with a lot of people at Manulife constantly. But if you were under the age of 50 and anything up to $1 million face value on the life insurance policy, they are trying to do just the phone interview. So they don't have to send somebody else. So they're going to try and make the decision just based on the interview instead of sending somebody out for vitals, which is something that they started streamlining previously to all of this anyway. If at all possible, they like to do fluid-free underwriting. So they did have a step forward in this, which is nice. As far as group plans and stuff like that, there is some relief being provided there. I can't give exact information because it's one of those things that's a case-by-case basis, because not only are they taking the virus into consideration, but now we have this oil price crash, and they have a lot of group plans in communities like ours, and they understand the financial situation. So if I have any clients that are listening to this, or if there's anybody listening that does have a group plan and they're just not sure what to do, please reach out to your advisor, and they can talk to their people at the companies and just see what they can do for you, because there is definitely options being put out. And what else? The travel insurance is a really, really big one. So again, I'm going to refer back to Manulife because they're my preferred carrier for travel. Any policies that were purchased prior to March, I think it's 3rd or 5th, they're making no changes to. So if you are gone right now and you get diagnosed with COVID and end up in the hospital, they will cover costs for that. However, any policies purchased after that time, if you go somewhere with a level 3 or 4 travel advisory, which is pretty well everywhere right now, and you can track the virus, there will be nothing paid out for that. So again, it's one of those case-by-case situations. So if you have any questions, if you're gone and not coming home, I know I have some clients that buy year-long policies because they are working abroad. Just contact your advisor because, like I said, things are changing day by day. So we're doing our best.
I bet. Hey, like the whole world's changing so darn fast, and every industry is getting, that's crazy. So we're going to move on to some questions here too, Callie, if that's okay.
Sure.
The first question is, how has the COVID-19 affected your business?
Luckily, we're not too affected. Dad made the executive decision last week to close our office doors. I think that was on Wednesday afternoon, just for myself and his protection. However, most of the companies that we deal with on a daily basis, started doing all of their processes online prior to all of this happening. It's been a shift in the whole industry for the last couple of years. So most of our carriers, we can complete a life insurance application and policy delivery all online now. So we don't have to worry about getting physical signatures on anything like that. And the same goes with myself for segregated investment deposits with Empire Life. It's all online now. I just need your banking information, how much money you want, and they'll do a pre-authorized debit, and it just emails you a document to sign. So in that regard, we're not really losing out, but we're definitely missing the face-to-face connection with our clients, because as I'm sure you can tell, we do love seeing our clients, and we make an effort to do that. Even our clients that live far away, we typically drive to go see them instead of trying to do a phone call. But thankfully, we have technology. So Zoom and Skype and FaceTime, we're definitely utilizing that right now.
Have you noticed a drop in people coming towards you, Callie, right now at all, or not really?
You know what? This time of the year isn't typically super busy for us to begin with. Well, for me anyway. So lately, no. But I'm sure in the coming weeks we will notice a little bit more, just because with the uncertainty of things, people aren't going out to buy.
Right.
They need to maintain more than they need to start purchasing. Right. So yeah.
Is this a good time, before I jump into the next one, about putting, if you have any extra money into your RSPs, if you have an RSP right now?
Yes, even if you have a tax-free savings account that's in investments, or an RSP, or even a non-registered that's in some type of fund, now is a great time. I've seen a lot of comments just online while I'm reading of people saying, you know what, wait for the bottom before you put in. We don't know what the bottom is. So I can't say that with confidence, because what is the bottom? It could be the Dow reaching 15,000, or it could be zero. We don't know. So if you have extra funds with a long-term goal, now definitely is, because the most common advice given for investments is buy low and sell high. So now we're in a low spot, and it's gonna recover, and we know that. So yeah, now is a perfect time if you have extra money to put into any type of savings.
So your investments that you do is RSPs, right?
We do all sorts of stuff, actually. We do RRSPs, RESPs, so that's education savings plans, tax-free savings account, non-registered, and I actually can open high interest savings accounts with Manulife Bank.
High interest savings account. So you have a minimum.
Yeah, so it's a really neat little program. They have what's called an Advantage account. And if you hold a minimum balance of $1,000, it's completely free. There's no fees on anything, but it works a little different than traditional savings accounts, because it's a combined checkings and savings account. So you're allowed to use it daily. And then they have a really great interest rate for an everyday bank account, and it's calculated daily and paid monthly, no matter what your minimum balance is. So I know with some accounts at other financial institutions, you have to hold a minimum balance, say $1,000, before they'll pay you interest, or $5,000. These guys don't care. You could have $2 in, and they'll pay you interest on that $2.
So when you say a high interest savings account, so it's higher than a normal bank's interest?
It's in and around the same. Like all high interest savings accounts are in and around the same promotional interest rate. It's just how they calculate it, and the fact that you don't have to have a minimum balance to get the interest payments.
Okay. Gosh, I got so much to learn. All right. So the next one, Callie, is, has the price of oil, or how has the price of oil affected your business?
You know what, Sharon, when I started in this business in 2015, which was right at the height of the last time this happened to us. So I came in at a rough time. So I learned, right away what happens when our community is suffering. Not much changes, because the need is still there. People still have houses. They still have loans. They still have families that need to be taken care of if something were to happen to them, especially if they're the main breadwinner in the household. So on the insurance side of things, not much changes. However, on the investment side of things, that's where we see a difference, because if you have no money to invest, you can't come forward and do that. And unfortunately, in the last downturn, we had quite a few clients that had to dip into their long-term savings because it got so bad.
Right. One thing you had mentioned to me before, Callie, is people cashing out on their life insurance.
Yeah, so if you have a permanent life insurance policy, so this is not relevant to anything term, but if you have a permanent life insurance policy that has a built-up cash value, so in either a whole life or a universal life, if there's cash value in there and you get into a situation where you can't pay the monthly premium, there's definitely ways to use the built-up cash value in there to pay the premiums in the meantime. We obviously believe that life insurance is one of the most important things that you can do. And if you get into a financial situation, we try to do everything we can for you to ensure that you don't lose that policy. Because if you do end up canceling it and then things get better in a year or two, we have to start completely from scratch. We can't reinstate a policy that's been canceled. And then we have to worry about things like age and health status, smoking status, anything that might have changed in the interim, which could potentially make you uninsurable.
You know what? I'm going to go on a little bit more about that. And I'm sure other people know, and it's probably just me that don't understand all this stuff, but I went and got life insurance on Shayna a few years ago. And I thought that was kind of a cool idea because I believe in it too, probably because you guys are such great salespeople. No, I don't want to leave my family with nothing. That's my goal, you know, like they're going to have, anyways. But she's never had to do a medical and she'll never have to do a medical.
Correct.
Like that is a very cool process.
Yes, it is. And you know what, most, if not all of the companies, I know anyone that we deal with, if you don't want to purchase them an actual policy for themselves, say you can't afford it, if you're in a situation like that, again, I'm going to use Manulife as an example, please forgive me. They're just a fantastic company, but they have something called a child protection rider, and it's $2.50 per child a month extra tacked on, and up until they're 18, 21 or 25 if they're in university and we can prove that they're still a dependent, provides them with $10,000 of life insurance, no questions asked. And then when they come of age, Manulife has to offer them $250,000 of whatever type of insurance they want, whether it be term or permanent, what they can afford at the time. And there's absolutely no medical questions asked. So we've actually had situations where that's come in handy with clients who are diagnosed with type 1 diabetes, because that does make you uninsurable. So yeah, we definitely have, there's always a plan for everyone, always.
And even like my kids, like they're mid-20s, and like get on it now, right? Like do it now.
And you know what, that's the thing, the sooner you buy it in your life, the cheaper it is. And that's just how it is. And one of our philosophies that we go by all the time is to get as much insurance as you can for as cheap as you can for as long as you can. And we are there every step of the way. We're not just going to sell you a policy and then run away. We want to make sure you're taken care of for your whole life.
Yeah. I like the fact that I can give you a call up and you just tell me what it is and where I'm at. That's perfect. Okay, our next one is strategies you have implemented with this whole COVID-19 that's going on around us. What have you guys implemented there?
Right. So like I said, not much has changed in our day-to-day life other than now we have to work from home. So we are just taking advantage of the technology that's available. So Zoom has been absolutely wonderful. We've used Skype and FaceTime and, oh, please excuse my puppies, Skype and FaceTime, and all that sort of thing. Because, you know, we can complete stuff over the phone. That's fine. But there's nothing like the face-to-face connection that we get with our clients. So I'm trying to implement that.
Unfortunately, I think this whole Zoom world is here to stay, Callie.
It is. Like and you know what? It's a sign of the times. So we might as well get on board while we can.
That's right.
Yeah.
I'd prefer if people do Zoom because I went and bought some stocks in it.
Shameless plug.
Zoom all the way. No, I'm joking. Okay. What have I got? The relief from the government is one of our questions. Is that something that you guys would be looking into, or do you have any views on it to share with people?
Yeah, no, I don't think us personally will be looking into anything because, well, both Dad and I are self-employed, so that writes off all the EI and stuff for us.
Yep.
But we are still able to work at full capacity at home. I know some days it feels like it's a little slower, but we can do everything from home that we can at the office. So we won't be. And for anybody that's listening, if you do need it, it's there. But I would just proceed with caution and only apply for it if you absolutely need it. Just because there's so many things unknown right now and it's still being rolled out. And I can't even imagine the wait times to get into the unemployment office to talk to them. So yeah, just err on the side of caution and ensure that if you do take advantage of it, it's because you really, really need it.
Right. Yeah. Okay. I think one I've got here, any suggestions or insights that you may have right now to share with everybody that you've seen what's going around you?
On the business side of things, I'm just thinking of this off the top of my head. Again, I know in addition to the government relief, a lot of financial institutions and utilities companies and stuff are trying to also help out with deferred payments and stuff. There's a lot of confusion surrounding the mortgage situation because it has come out now, and what's circulating online is that you can defer your mortgage for up to 6 months. I have talked to somebody because, again, we work closely with Manulife Bank. So I talked to my wholesaler at Manulife Bank, and she said that is not exactly how things are working. It's a case-by-case thing. You can get your mortgage deferred for up to 6 months, but there's so many other factors that have to come into play. You don't just call in and they stop it. So just a heads up, if you do need to call your financial institution for that, I'm not saying they're not going to help you, but that's not a guaranteed situation. Right. If you have questions though, like definitely just reach out because the best source of the information is going to be your lender. As far as just how to keep going during all of this, I guess it's just to stay positive. Stormy days don't last forever, and we are so blessed to be in such a supportive community, and times like this really do bring it out. I have seen everybody, all the businesses do everything they can to help out. There's community members getting groceries for those who can't. You pick up stuff in Lloyd for people who can't. Find something here. I know it's a sad time, but it's been really amazing to see how everybody can band together in a time of need. And I think we need to just remember that now and going forward. We are really blessed to live in the community that we do.
Yeah. And, and I think you see it, like I'm from Manitoba, and you even see it there, right? Like, it's just, I find it amazing. And we're in such a fast paced world. Like I was even thinking to myself when I was getting dressed, I was feeling guilty because I have ordered off Amazon, right? You know what I mean? And it was like literally this thing to hold 3 monitors up. Yes. Can I get it in town? Probably not, but they could order it for me.
Yeah.
Right. But it's so easy to sit on your couch and do it in the evening in your pajamas.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. And that's just the thing, right? The ease factor. Like I'm guilty of it as well. I can't even sit here and act like I'm not, but I think there's just so many services available in town that people aren't aware of. So yeah, if anything, this is going to bring a better awareness to Provost and surrounding areas. So there's definitely a silver lining to all of this.
There is a silver liner, but even ourselves, like I think as a business owner, it pushes us because we've been so busy, just go. We haven't really stopped to think about how we can improve. I mean, so I should say we do improve in business. We do what we can, but with technology, right? Do you know what I mean? Like if you're going to compete with those big boys, you have to shift. You have to try
That's just it. That's just it.
So there's lots of learning for us to do, but we have to embrace it and try to do what we can for sure. Okay, what else? The last question. Is there anything else that we should be talking about that I'm forgetting? before I ask my last question?
You know what? Can I touch on market panic for 1 second?
Yes, please. Thank you.
So I'm sure because you are now paying attention to it, everybody has noticed that the markets have taken a absolute tumble in the last 3 weeks. It has been not pretty to watch. But do not panic. I know it's so easy to panic. That's our first reaction to things. If you have investments like RSPs or anything like that, do not think that you are losing everything, because you most definitely are not. Investing anything into the market, you have to expect fluctuations. If you're not sure what to do, Dad and I were actually discussing this earlier. We came across a great quote on LinkedIn that said, if you're not sure what to do, the best thing to do is nothing. So if you're not sure what to do, just leave it. It's going to be okay. We have to think of the bigger picture when it comes to the stock market, because it is a volatile thing. But if you, we'll say in 5-10 years, zoom out of what's happening right now instead of looking at it up close to the sharp decline. If we zoom out, you'll see everything that's happened over the last 100 years. Even in my lifetime, we can talk about H1N1, SARS, the housing bubble bursting in 2008. That's all in my lifetime. And those drops were huge. But as soon as you zoom out, they just look like little blips in the rise. So you just have to be patient. I know it is scary to see because the numbers drop so fast. I never thought that I would see something like that. And I've seen a couple market fluctuations, but this has been insane. But, you know, instead of panicking, now is a good time to get excited about it. We're getting excited about it. Because like we mentioned earlier, it's a great time to buy. All of the investment companies we deal with, they're buying like crazy. It's so when it goes back up, things are going to be great.
Yeah, actually, it's funny because I'm new to the stock market. I've never had time to actually. When I say new, I mean I'm little player, little tiny player in there. But I like it. I really
it's interesting and it's fun to watch. Like, I'm not saying it's fun watching it go down, but just to see how it reacts to everything, not just this virus, but we had the rail blockades that started to kind of move things around, and we had anytime there's a trade war idea with the States, it starts getting rocky. And it's interesting just to see how much global influence there is on everybody's economy.
Yeah, I find it interesting because it'll be dropping. I'll be like, what's that about? Oh, that's because that happened over, like, anyway, I find it amazing and I really like it, but I cannot give anybody recommendations because I'm down. I'm not very good at this. I'm losing. So don't take me for recommendations. So anyways, our last question, unless you wanted anything else that we forgot about before we go.
I think I'm good there.
Okay, the last question that we like to ask is anything positive you see coming out of this?
Like I mentioned earlier, just seeing how amazing all of the businesses in Provost have been. And there are some star citizens out there that are going the extra mile for those who need help. And it's awesome. I'm so proud to live here.
Yeah, me too. It actually almost like I actually right now, I just think about, I get teary eyed over it. Like I'm just so amazed. It just warms my heart for sure. It
does. And I know it's scary times, and I know there's a lot of businesses that are afraid right now, but I really think that once things turn around, and they're going to, everything's going to be okay. And that's comforting.
Yeah, as they say, when you get through winter, there's always spring, and I think spring is going to be pretty freaking awesome.
It is.
Okay, well, I think that's great, and I really appreciate you and both your dad, Callie, because you guys are phenomenal in our town. Your dad's kid, help me out here now. Did you ask him how many years he's been in business?
I did. I confirmed. He has been in business for 28 years as of
28
January.
28 years. So 28 years serving our community. That's miraculous. That's awesome. And I could talk to him all day long. I just love him. So
he's a wealth of knowledge.
He is. And he really, really is. And he genuinely cares. You can tell he wants the best for everybody, and same with yourself.
I'm definitely lucky to have him to learn from. That's for sure.
Yeah, he's a great mentor. Okay, well, I'm going to sign off, and thank you, Callie, for joining us
Thank you
today.
so much for having me.
And I'm sure there's lots of people that can take away from what you're sharing with us today.
Awesome.
Okay, I'm going to sign off now. I'm going to hit end recording now, Callie. Okay. Here we go. Do you want to stop the cloud recording? If yes, receive an email. Perfect.